I do just want to talk to you first about the Red Bull BC1 because it was your second showing there. You did the first one, sorry, your first one was in 2019. Then your second appearance was in 2021, and at the first one, you got knocked out of the first round. But at your last show, you made it to the finals. So, what's happened since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the 2019 was kind of like right pre-pandemic, and then the last year's edition was kind of in the middle of it, but it looked like things were ending, and so it was one of the bigger events that was happening kind of during that time. So there was a lot of time for me to, I guess, train and develop myself in between. 2019 was my first showing at BC1, and BC1 was always a dream, and I'm very open about saying that. Like BC1 has always been a dream for me, and it was the first event that I ever saw on YouTube. Like when I first started breaking, the first event I ever saw was Lilu versus Cloud in 2009. That was the first YouTube video I saw of breaking, and I remember seeing that and be like, "Whoa! Like this is so cool! Like breaking is so cool!" And I can't believe that it exists on this level, like on this kind of platform. So it was always a dream for me to go. So 2019 there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself for that event. I had a good year that year. I had won Undisputed, I had won IBE, and I was performing well. Um, and I thought I had to like prove myself at that event, that I could win, that I could do well. And I put too much pressure on myself. And that was kind of my mistake, is I put so much pressure on this one event that I had to win, as opposed to thinking of representing myself and just representing my style and having fun and that kind of route, which I'll talk about after, but that's the route that I feel like I do best in. I really just thought about, I wanted to win and I wanted to prove myself and I wanted to, like, this is a dream, I got to do my best kind of thing. And so I relied heavily on, and I think because it's like a BC1 stage, when you're on that stage, like, again, just a self-imposed pressure, I felt like I had to do my moves, like my big moves, only my big moves. And so it disrupted a lot of my performance because it disrupted my flow. I would like kind of stop halfway and then I would do another like banger, like one of my big moves that doesn't actually connect well together. But I just thought like, I had to do another big move, especially battling someone like Kazuki Rock, who is kind of like a big move after a big move after a big move. And so there was a lot of pressure that I just kind of put on myself at that event. I think that year as well, I had like a extremely busy year. And so leading up to it, like my training wasn't entirely proper. I was just kind of competing a lot, but I wasn't really honing in on my training. And to be completely honest, 2019, like BC1 to me personally is one of the worst performances I've had on a big stage. And so I'm not like super proud of that performance, but I think it was an extremely important learning lesson for me. And it kind of changed my breaking after that, in terms of not putting so much pressure on one event ever and just enjoying the journey. As cheesy as that sounds, like I don't put any pressure on one set event anymore because of that, because I realized putting so much pressure on this one moment really could take away from my performance more than anything. And so after BC1 2019, like a few months after, I was kind of like lost, because I felt like this was the pinnacle of what this was a dream, and I had performed so poorly that I was kind of in a low state for a few months. And then honestly, it kind of worked out for me personally with the pandemic, just having that time where there was no events and that I had to kind of relearn to train and relearn to do this completely for the love of it, as opposed to competing. And not that I didn't stop loving it, it's just the fact that like when you're on constantly competing, which I did in 2019, especially, it's just like you're always thinking about the next event. Okay, I have to get ready, I have to just practice my moves. Whereas the way I like to dance just in general is just to go to practice and just enjoy it and create and do that. And so I really got to do that for the last 2 years before this BC1 in 2021. And because of that, I really got to develop my style further. I got to train more. I got to work on the things I really wanted to work on, and I got to just love the dance again. Basically, I got to fall in love with it again. And then leading into BC1, the last BC1 that happened, I competed as much as I could, like the few months before that. But every event, I approached it not really caring. And I mean that in the sense that, like, when I go, of course, I'm going to try to win and I want to win. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I train up until that point as hard as I can. And when I get to that day of the event, it doesn't matter. Like win or lose, I'm obviously going to try my best to win. But most importantly, I'm there and I'm just soaking up the experience and having fun and being grateful. And especially going into BC1 2021, I felt like in 2019, I was so focused on the win. I wasn't just enjoying my time there. I wasn't enjoying the experience. I wasn't like hanging out with people, whatever. I was so focused like on winning, you know? And so going into 2021, it was a completely different experience. I went into it just being like, I don't care about how I do. If I lose first round, I lose first round. Obviously, I'm going to try my best to win. But if I lose it, I lose, you know? So I really got to soak up the experience that time. I put way less pressure on myself. And again, I feel like that's when I do my best, is because I didn't put that self-imposed pressure. I was really grateful just to be there on the stage. Like every time when I went out on stage, I was just having fun. I was looking around. I found Ills and Jared, who are the people that I traveled with. Ills obviously being my crewmate, Jared being the Red Bull Canada manager, who's like a really good friend of mine. And so I would just look out to them and wave at them and just being like, yeah, I'm here, you know? So I feel like I approached it much more authentically in 2021. And I think that really translated into my performance as well. And from what other people have told me, that's what that people kind of enjoyed about it as well. I was just having fun. I think I was probably having the most fun on that stage because I didn't put any pressure on myself. I honestly didn't care if I lost. And when I lost in the finals, I didn't care. Like when I lost, I knew Amir won. Like that's how I felt as well. Like I felt like he won, but it didn't bother me. Like I wasn't sad. I was just like, oh, I made it to the finals. This is amazing, you know. And I think having that attitude, that perspective shift, not just at this event, but every single event moving forward, it was kind of the biggest game changer for me. Just to recognize like one event doesn't really matter. Don't put so much pressure on one event. You're gonna do so many events in your lifetime. I'll do more BC1s in my lifetime. This is where I'm at this stage of my breaking career, and that's what I'll show. I'll do the best that I can, but that's all I can do. And then if I lose, I lose, and I learn from it and do my best for the next one.